And I think people don't realize how bad they really feel until they do something like this, an elimination diet, that helps them understand how bad they really felt, right? And I know that was for me too. I didn't realize how bad I really felt until I got to carnivore and realized how good I could feel.
Melanie, could you tell us about your health journey and how did you discover carnivore?
Well, hi, I'm Melanie. I'm 59 years old, and I came to carnivore kind of on a whim. I have been a college athlete. I spent a career in law enforcement. Pretty much didn't really need to have any particular um, diet per se. I felt like I kind of always ate healthy. What we know now is was the standard American diet, I guess. In the sense of I was still kind of high protein, but I still was eating vegetables because that's what I kind of thought we needed to do. Um, of course, the all the low fat things came in, back in 80s, 90s. We started with this whole, oh yeah, everything low fat, right? Low fat, low fat. Um, and it wasn't really until about a year to year and a half before I retired. I got injured and started having a bunch of health issues. I had to have a bunch of surgeries. So I, of course, got lazy. I, wasn't able to work out. And then I kind of started down the path of kind of trying all these fad diets and so forth. And one of my former training coaches in college had sent me a message on Facebook about carnivore. And I'm like, what the heck is carnivore? I kind of just poo pooed it, and I kind of looked at it and I said, he says, well, it's people that only eat meat. And I'm like, oh, hell no. Just kind of like swipe left, I was like, no. I'm like, what do you mean I can't have bread? What do you mean I can't have pasta? What do you mean I can't have all this stuff? Right. And so, anyways, and he would always see my posts because I've always posted on Facebook and stuff, like my workouts and this and that. And he could tell that I was kind of always maybe complaining about my weight or this or that. And so he sent it to me again, and so by that time, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a look at this and see what he's talking about. And he basically, and I had done a little bit of side coaching with him, um, just to try to see where I was, how I got from where I was to now over 200 pounds. I was, miserable. My clothes didn't fit. I had um, cancer twice, minimal, of course, but I still had it. So there was a lot of things that just were not going well with me. Mostly the weight gain was very upsetting for me as I just have kind of been always, weight conscious, so to speak. So I started kind of going down the journey, down the rabbit hole. Started finding I found a Facebook group, um, heard the name Ken Berry. Then I heard the name Sally K. Norton about oxalates. And then I just kind of started doing the deep dive and thought, well, I love steak. Oh my gosh, I love meat. I'm thinking, man, this could really be something that I could probably do. So I'm not sure exactly how long. I know that I tried to start carnivore in September of 2021, but I got COVID and I was just about ready to start training with Raymond Nazan. And I just told him, I said, look, let's just let's just put this off till the new year. And it'll actually be my 4-year carnivore anniversary coming up January 3rd of 2026. So anyways, so I had seen Bella on Instagram. I actually even messaged her, and I really was shocked that I got a message back from her. I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're messaging me." So we chatted a little bit, in Instagram messaging. She was really engaging and really helpful about, if there was anything I needed or any information I wanted to know more of. And then at some point, I saw a side by side of one of our former coaches, Emily Harvo, of her transition, or her transformation, I should say, from when she was very heavy to having done carnivore. And the transformation was incredible. And I messaged Raymond and I said, oh my gosh, I want to be like that. So that's kind of how I got into it. That's how it started for me. So, like I said, January 1st, or actually January 3rd of 2022 is when I started carnivore and been doing it ever since. And I've been a member of the Steak and Butter Gang. I was for a while in the beginning, and then I kind of did my own thing. And then I was asked to come to the team in May of this year. So I joined the team, not as a coach, just as somebody to help other members, help guide them, answer questions, be a support for them in the community at our events and so forth. I love doing that. I love interacting with people and to help them see the benefits of carnivore.
That's awesome. You've been on quite a journey. So going from the standard American diet, being a college athlete, and you mentioned you're in law enforcement as well.
I
Um,
was, yeah.
that's awesome. How long were you in law enforcement for?
I was in for 30 years. Yeah,
Wow,
it's funny, I have a degree in kinesiology and I had an emphasis in nutrition back then, in the 80s. That's kind of what, the big nutrition thing. And I always have been in the quote nutrition industry, I guess you could say, because I've always trained in the gym. I've always been an athlete. I love training with weights. So for me, it's always, even though I've never coached it or taught it, it's just that that's the life that I've lived all along. I've just had some setbacks here and there. And so carnivore has really propelled me to be, I feel, the best that I have ever been, even from my college years. I have some injuries, and there's some things, of course, that I cannot do based on my previous injuries, but I'm able to maintain steady, consistent weight training schedule, and I feel that carnivore has just really propelled me to the next level to where I feel amazing. Don't get me wrong. Sure, do we all have bad days? Yeah, and do we feel crappy? And I'm not going to ever say I'm one of those carnivores that, oh my God, everything's gone, all the pain is gone, everything's this, no. I mean, I live in reality. I'm a realist, so, and I'm really honest with people about my journey when it comes to that, because there are days that I don't feel good, but I don't blame carnivore for that. And I don't blame anything else for that. That's just being 59 and a half and having had a lot of life experiences and a lot of things that, have happened over the years. So again, I still feel that this is the best way to fuel our bodies for the long term.
that's awesome. And you mentioned before seeing that body transformation going from like a more balanced approach to a carnivore diet. What changes did you notice in yourself when you started to implement that?
Well, I think for me it was the weight loss. I just had such a hard time losing weight with anything else. And I mean, I tried this much of like little tiny frame of vegan. I'm like, oh no, I could never do that. The thought of buying beyond anything was out of my, I just thought that was so gross. Um, so for me, I think it took about 4 to 6 months to where I really started seeing the weight come off. And I know that in our group in Steak and Butter Gang, we really try not to be the focus, because we really focus on healing first, and that the weight transformation comes later. Some people have benefits in the beginning, like I did, and some it takes longer. But for me, that was it. And I really just didn't want to feel yucky anymore. I didn't want to feel thick. I didn't want to feel miserable in my clothes. I didn't want to have cancer again. I didn't want to have, any further illnesses. So that's kind of what has done for me. And then also the autophagy. I do feel that being carnivore has helped me been able to retain my muscle mass, because I mean, I am 59. I'm going to be 60 in June. And I it's kind of interesting how muscular I have become, or have been able to stay. Um, from when I started carnivore in January of 2022, I purposely did not work out for about 6 months, because I really wanted to make sure that the way I was eating was really what was benefiting me, and it wasn't the training and excessive exercise and so forth.
So something I've been thinking about recently is the weight loss aspect. Some people experience this kind of rapid weight loss when they go carnivore. Some people it takes a bit longer. Do you know why that happens? And I'm at the point where I'm kind of thinking, do I need to start tracking calories? Is that an option?
Well, personally, I don't. I'm not a fan of tracking anything. I'm not a fan of calorie counting and so forth. Although there are some people that do use it because they feel like they're under eating and they really want to be able to figure out, why is it they're not losing weight, and maybe they need to track so that they can see how much intake they're taking. Um, I think that when you have a lot of sick people, it takes your body has a lot of healing to do. And I think that's what sometimes people don't realize is that your body has got to heal first before it starts shedding stuff on the outside. And what I know for myself was that I was not seeing the scale move. I actually saw the scale go up, and then, but my photos that I took every 2 weeks were changing, and that was evident from Coach Raymond when he'd say, Mel, gosh, I could totally see that your waist is narrowing and so forth. And so it just started to come along. But I think that people are so undernourished, they don't realize it. And I think that's a big problem in the carnivore communities because we've all been trained over our entire life, especially women, to undereat, right? And even myself, I'm still an undereater. I know I'm still not eating enough. And I've spoke with different people in this field that are carnivores or high fat keto, which I more consider myself like high fat keto carnivore, is that under eating is a big problem, especially when you're trying to build muscle, right, and to sustain that muscle. So, um, and I know in our community they teach that you've got to be well nourished in order for those changes to happen over time. And there are people in our community that haven't lost a single pound, but all of the other benefits and things that they have told us that they're feeling, whether it's type 2 diabetes they've corrected, whether it's no joint pain, whether their um, blood work numbers are good, or numerous things, their sleep is better, even their eyesight's better. There's just so many things. We have people in our community that might have MS or whatever, and that they're just thriving with this way of eating. So it's really quite remarkable that this way of eating that we were our ancestors ate this way, and yet somehow we got so far out of it from the 70s and 80s with all of the processed stuff and the low fat stuff that it's really made us a really unhealthy nation.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good point. I think the amount of benefits I have on carnival, like sleep is better. I don't have any more joint pain. I haven't had an injury, and I'm still training 3 days a week. Whereas on my old like bodybuilder type of diets, are very very low in fats. I was getting injured all the time, didn't have any energy, and I was hungry all the time. So it was like, yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and it kind of wrecks your body, it really does. And and I and it's really kind of I have a few friends in here where I live that are in the bodybuilding world, and it's just unfortunate because um they can't break out from what they already know, what they don't know, and be able to explore and to kind of step outside of their box. And um I get criticized quite a bit for um when I say, eliminate carbs. They people just kind of go all crazy and just like, oh my god, you couldn't possibly eliminate carbs. And but like I said, with full transparency, and even my community knows this, my team knows this, our team, I do some carbs every now and then, but it's more so a thing because I like them. But it might be some berries, it might be a little bit of white rice when I have sushi or something like that, sashimi. But I don't go on binges. Like I went on a cruise in September, and yeah, I cheated, but I paid for it too when I got home because I didn't feel all that great. But I will allow myself to have things at times, but I won't. I'm pretty much in a situation where I think that I've come far enough and I know my body well enough that I know what triggers me and what doesn't trigger me, and I'm not gonna backslide into a dark hole and go, "Oh my god, now I'm eating, crap forever." I can jump right back on it and be perfectly fine, when I get home or the next day or whatever. So I think that and we tried not to be too dogmatic. I know there's a lot of carnivores out there that they're really dogmatic, and I could probably say that I was probably one of those in the very beginning, because when you're new and you're kind of learning what you're learning, and you're just kind of taking it all in, and got all these people around you that have been doing this for years and this and that, and then as you go, you kind of figure out what works best for you, and I think that's the most important part. However, not what's best for you when it comes to quote moderation, right? I don't like the word moderation. I feel that it's kind of a cheat word. So people can kind of live their life and go, well, I just want to have fun. I want to enjoy life. And I'm thinking, well, do you want to enjoy life at the doctor's office, or do you want to enjoy life at the gym? Right? Because I don't want to be going to the doctor's office for all these health problems because I decided that I still wanted to drink, or I wanted to eat sugar, I wanted to eat ice cream, I wanted to eat pizza, I wanted to go out with my friends and have just a woohoo of a time. I can do all that without being eating that way. And I can still, and I feel great. So that's kind of the way I look at it. I think that even for myself, um, I just need to be, um, you know, more graceful with myself too, because sometimes we just get so hard on ourselves, and that doesn't really work for. And I've always been the hardest person on myself. I don't need anybody else to be hard on me. I'm already that. So yeah, so I just think that um, I I kind of wish the carnivore community was a little less dogmatic about some things, because and I know there are some people out there um, that are really kind of going on the other side now and stuff, and I just feel that we have to let people do what they have to do for themselves, and hopefully they come back around to um, you know and if they don't, that's okay too.
Definitely. Yeah. I like the way you phrase that. I think you get that if you did go off track with carnivore, you do get that feedback from your body straight away. It's like, say you have a cheat day, you're going to feel terrible for a couple of days, but then as you get back on track, and once you do, you just feel so much better in yourself, and also with your the mental side of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that definitely is, and I think that's the one thing too that was really important for me to be part of the Steak and Butter Gang community, is that through the protocol that Raymond teaches through priming, feasting, and fasting, it really teaches you to listen to your body. I mean, that is the number one thing I felt that I got from that as well. I learned that my body doesn't do well fasting. I do some fasting, but primarily it doesn't really do that well on it. Um, but I learned that early on, being a member of the gang. But yeah, and I hear this a lot too with our members, that um, you can hear them talking and you go, oh gosh, they're getting it. They're able to hear their own self giving them the information back, that they are listening to their body, and the body is so powerful in that manner. I mean, I know for a fact that if I eat carbs, especially if I was to eat any carbs later in the day, man, I don't sleep well, I don't feel good the next day. I just, and I'm not eating that many either. I mean, we're talking very minimal carbs. I don't even think it's maybe 30, 50 grams at that. It's not even a lot. So um but yeah, I just think, and people have to come to it on their own, right? I think we have to be willing to welcome them in, and allow them some grace.
Absolutely. And I was curious, when you started on your carnivore journey, did you notice a difference or a change with your mental health?
Um, that's a funny question, because if any of my friends watch this video later on, they're gonna go, "Hell no." um, I am a very passionate, very just kind of out there person. And so I do kind of get in some battles with people, online and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say, I don't really know that I've noticed anything so much with mental health, maybe just the fact that I feel better overall and I'm just more happy with myself because of the fact that I don't feel miserable anymore, because when I feel miserable, then my mental health is awful, you know. So again, I would say that that's probably the biggest change would be the fact that I'm probably more what we call the carnivore calm, a little bit. I have a little bit more of that than I probably previously did before. But those of people that know me are going to go like, no.
Gotcha. And you mentioned priming before. Just for people listening, maybe they're not familiar with that term. Could you explain what priming is and what the benefits are?
Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself because I'm not the coach. So, but I would just say that it's basically nourishing your body for 7 to 10 days, um, with basically 3 meals a day plus snacks, and then it kind of goes into a protocol of after that, you know, into two mads, OMADs, so forth, fasting. So it has kind of a outlined program, but it's really about totally nourishing your body and making sure that you're completely nourished and you're fat adapted, and that's kind of the gist of the program.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. I've actually tried that recently, and I found my strength started to improve a lot in the gym, and I was sleeping better, had less cravings for sugar and carbs and that sort of stuff. So it's definitely worth doing if people are
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah, I've even done like what we call like a mini prime, just because let's just say that I don't know, I had something going on or whatever. Maybe I feel like I was under eating. And so I might do like a mini prime, 3 days or something. And then it kind of gets my body back on track to getting it back to where it was. And then I can, because it also helps open up your hunger signals. And that's one of the things that Raymond teaches also in our community is about when you're totally nourished, because a lot of people really don't think they can get that amount of food in. But once you do the priming, it really allows the hunger signals to open up, and people really start to flourish that way.
Gotcha. And being on carnivore, have you noticed a change with your workouts? Like, has your strength improved, or energy wise, any improvements?
Yeah, I think that for me, I try to look back before I was carnivore because like I said, I didn't get to work out for quite a while because I was a few years there because I was injured. But yeah, I just feel that I don't really lack energy per se now in the gym. I mean, I don't feel like I don't need carbs. I don't use carbs around the gym. I did in the beginning. I'd have some blueberries around my workouts or something like that. But for the most part, I train empty, and I just eat a big meal when I get home, and then I usually have another meal at night. So it just depends, and I might even stick a third meal in there, just depending on how I'm feeling. And that's where, for me, it kind of gets to the under eating part because I know I probably need that third meal, but yet I'm still kind of can't get it in. So I try to be really, cognizant of that. But yeah, I feel stronger. My muscle tone is better. I feel really good when I'm in the gym. I feel strong, um, and yeah, I haven't really. It's been great.
That's awesome. And have your friends and family reacted to you being carnivore?
Well, that's an interesting story. So my friends are, there's very a lot of them that they know what I do, and I've had people, uh, friends say, well, we didn't invite you to go so and so because we know you don't eat like that. And I'm thinking, well, gosh, can I like make that decision for myself? I mean, like, can I just go and sit and have some water or some club soda with you guys and chit chat and enjoy an evening out or something? And I have other friends who, when I post stuff on social media, who want to fire back because they've had either heart issues or they know people that have had heart surgeries or all this stuff. And what they don't really realize is that my belief is that those heart issues started 30, 40 years ago. It wasn't something that just all of a sudden happened. And it was, I believe, truly from not eating. It was from all the processed stuff that they were eating, the carbs, the sugar, the alcohol, and even if it was somebody that was young at that time and they had heart disease. And I'm not saying by any means that people don't have um, you know, heart issues and things like that. But I think that when they want to disagree with me or kind of attack me for my eating butter and steak, um, that they use that in combination with um, people that they know, and that's why they can't eat fat or meat, and the doctor's still telling them that you can't eat fat and meat because that causes high cholesterol and clogged arteries, which we know for a fact that that's been disproven over and over and over again. So, um, yeah, and then I feel too in the beginning, and I still have it now. Most of my life revolves around my carnivore community because I guess people don't really um uh, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's just you kind of just get in your own vibe, and my community is mostly online, and so I don't really socialize much in my own communities because there's not really any carnivores there, and it's kind of a struggle a little bit. But I have the gym and my dog, so that's about it.
You've got the essentials covered, that's the main thing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly, and I got 2 freezers full. Well, actually, I've got 3 freezers full of meat, 2 for me and 1 for my dog, so she also eats raw, so so I have, plenty of meat, so I'm good.
Awesome. And I wanted to go back to a moment where you said you could either suffer at the doctor's office or you can choose to suffer at the gym. There seems to be this idea that being healthy or eating carnivore has to be really expensive, and I don't think it is. I think it's honestly the cheapest and the easiest diet that I've ever done, and I've tried all of them. I couldn't stick to any of them.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that because people ask me that all the time. Oh my gosh, I can't afford to eat carnivore. I'm like, well, why not? I mean, 80/20 hamburgers cheap. You can go to Costco and get a 4 pack of bacon. I mean, you can buy meat on sale anywhere. I just bought 2 prime rib roasts on sale for one was last week with I think it was $7.99. This week they're $5.99 or something like that. I bought a New York loin, for I think it was 12.99 a pound here, which is really good as I'm in California. So, things tend to be more expensive here. But, with all the stuff, I just say all the box, bags, jars, and bottles, if you got rid of all that stuff, you have plenty of money to buy meat, beef, bacon, butter, eggs, right? It's not that expensive, really. I mean, and I guess too, if you're looking to feed a family of 4 or more, that could be maybe a little challenging, but I guess you'd have to say, well, what is it else that you have in your house? Do you all have cell phones? Do you all have I mean, what is it that you could give up that you could still, have extra money to buy meat? Because to me, the healthy part comes first, and I would want to, sacrifice something else. And I think that's where a lot of people, and it kind of goes back to what I talked about earlier, a lot of people don't want to they don't want to sacrifice. They don't want it to be hard. They want it to be easy. And even in my own life right now, I'm thinking about moving out of California because it's crazy here and all that stuff. And and I just kind of keep going back to that one line that in order for your life to be great, some difficulty has to happen first, right? Some uncomfortableness. So I think that's the same way with carnivore. It's like we all have to be uncomfortable to a point, or you have to know your why. Like for me, my why was one, I was severely overweight for myself. And I didn't want to have cancer again, and I truly believe that I had a melanoma in like 1920, I guess it was, because when COVID happened, no doctors were seeing patients with that. And I probably, if I would have caught it sooner, it wouldn't have been a deal. But look at all the sunscreens and all the toxins and stuff that we were putting on our skin, all the seed oils we're eating, all the sugars. I really don't believe that melanoma is caused from the sun whatsoever. Because if that was the case, you have people that have melanoma that get it where the sun doesn't shine, right? So that, and then I had a small stint with breast cancer, which thankfully it was very minor. But again, I just thought to myself, why me? I mean, here I'm young, I'm healthy, I work out. I didn't think that what I was eating was killing me. I really didn't, because I had probably chicken breast and some vegetables at dinner. I didn't do the rice. I was kind of would eliminate pasta and things like that, but I really thought that I was doing the right thing. But I used to drink, but I gave up drinking not because of carnivore, but I had already started giving it up before because it just didn't agree with my body, and then I started to realize I didn't feel that great. And so I just gave that up altogether. And every now and then I might have a drink, if I go out or something, or if I'm on a cruise or whatever. But I don't partake, just because I don't want those things in my body. Now, that doesn't mean that I couldn't get cancer, that I won't get sick again. But I think that I'm at a better odds of that not happening by eating the way that I eating than the other way. And I think that's what's important for people to understand. I mean, even just things like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and like all the oxalates. I mean, there's just the sugar. I mean, I think many people have said it. Dr. Barry and Dr. Sean and Baker and Dr. Phil in our group, that Alzheimer's really is like the type 3 diabetes. And it's not. Type 3 is not in the medical records or anything like that, but that's what they're calling it, because and you're just feeding, patients in the hospital, or even elderly patients, you're giving them sugar all the time. And I just don't see how that's helping their brain, is when you're giving them just constant sugar.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really good point, and it's funny we've made so much progress, as a species, but we've just lost touch with the basics. Getting sunlight, movement, eating real foods, and it's like, all my friends and family, they think I'm crazy. It's like you're just eating meat and eggs. I'm like, I can
Yeah.
go out, I don't get sunburnt anymore, and
Yeah.
this you have to avoid sun, and you need to have lather up with sunscreen. It's like that. I feel like the longer you're on carnivore, the more you start to question everything we've been told.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and, like, for me, I don't know what the deal is, because I don't consume seed oils or anything like that. And, like, I do, when the very beginning of the summer, I will get sunburned for whatever reason. I mean, I try not to stay out there long, I try to gradual, but I still would get some sunburn. Like, when we were on our cruise, in September, believe it or not, the East Coast was, supposed to be fall colors, but we were still warm enough to be out in the sun. And so I got a little bit of sunburn stuff. So I still will burn. I'm not sure, um, you know, why or why not. But again, and it could be too melanin. It could be the fact that all of these lights that we're taking in. I do typically wear blue blockers. I didn't wear them today to do your show with you, um, but at night I wear my orange colored, blockers, so that blocks out the lights from my phone and TV and all that. So I don't get up that early in the winter time to go see the sunrise, even though I should. So I think there's a lot of things that can come into play with that, right? And so some people have a better, um, um, maybe their system is adapted better, and maybe taking more time, or me being older and having had, used all those toxins for all those years. Who knows? I mean, it's kind of hard to say, but I do truly believe that sun is not our enemy. That it's definitely a friend of ours, and that we need to, like, we had sun here this morning for about maybe an hour. I took every advantage I could of it, because we have been, socked in for fog for like 20 some days. It came out yesterday finally. So again, it's you kind of have to get out even though it's not sunny. But yeah, I agree with you. It's just um my friends, they still think I'm kind of crazy, and they kind of, like right before I came on this live, I had about a pound of hamburger and about, 3 over easy eggs, and I was after the gym, and I just, didn't phase me 1 minute. I ate the whole thing. And I got a tri-tip that I'm gonna be cooking tonight on the grill. So, again, it's so easy. I mean, it's I've never, been a part of something that really is so easy to manage, you know? And I think people just need to get out of their way and just understand that, um, what is it that you really want for yourself? Do you wanna be sick and unhealthy, or do you wanna have a little bit of challenge and boredom, I guess you could say? Because yeah, I mean, I think sometimes on carnivore, people could say they get bored, I get that. Um, but there's all kinds of cool carnivore things that people make, that you can change things up a little bit to still stay within your realm of being carnivore.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all a
Mm.
matter of, shopping around, looking on YouTube, getting
Yeah,
creative. Like, my favorite thing at the moment is having like a hamburger, it's having like a layer of bacon, then I'll do the beef
yeah,
burger, fried egg on top, so it's kind of like a hamburger, that sort of same
yeah.
flavor profile. Feels like, that feels like a cheat day to me now, but I can have that anytime I want. And I feel amazing. I don't feel terrible.
Yeah, like I was just traveling, and when I travel, it's difficult sometimes, but I know that I can always go to a restaurant and I just have them give me 2 patties with bacon, and I might even do a little bit of avocado just for filler, just because, it's so expensive. I need, more food than I'm, paying, because they're charging me pretty much for the whole burgers, right? Versus just the patties. So, and I'll ask them if they can throw a couple of fried eggs on there. And so then I have a complete meal, and it's easy for me to try to eat on the road. And so I will, like I said, supplement sometimes, like with the avocado, just to give me some volume. Because sometimes when I'm traveling, all day, it's difficult to. But I make jerky, and I take, jerky on the road, um, with me, and I'll take, some beef sticks or things like that to if I need them. But yeah, I just think it's, super easy.
Definitely. And if someone came to you and they said, "Okay, I'm interested in trying carnivore. I want to do it for 30 days," what advice or tips would you give them?
Well, I've told this to many people. Just start eating beef, bacon, butter, eggs. Matter of fact, I just had a good friend of mine sent me a message on Instagram, or I'm sorry, Facebook Messenger, a couple of days ago while I was traveling, saying, "Hey, my wife wants to try carnivore. What tips can I give her?" And so I just kind of broke it down. I said, "Look, just start eating anything in the meat family: beef, bacon, butter, eggs. Eat 3 meals a day till you're fully comfortably stuffed, plus 2 bites, and just start there, and eliminate, the sugars, the seed oils, the sauces, you could do some dairy if you want to. I do some dairy, but I just, um, explain to them that you don't want to have dairy by itself. You want to have it with your meal if you're going to do some dairy. But that's pretty much what I tell them, is just to kind of start with that, and then try that for 7 to 10 days, and then get back with me and see how they're doing. And they may text me or message me and say, "Hey, I'm doing this or that, or I feel this way or that way." And I tell them, to try not to eat their butter rendered, make sure it's cold, so that you can, have your body get adjusted to having all that butter in your system. Just things like that, just basic. I just try to keep it simple, and I've had many of my, friends or people on the internet reach out to me to ask me, "Hey, how do I get started?" Um, and they always ask, "Oh my gosh, what's your blood work? What's your blood work?" I go, "You know what? It's great." And they said, "What's your cholesterol?" I go, "It's high," and I like it like that. But it's, and they freak out because we've all been just so lied about the cholesterol myth. There's a great book out there called The Great Cholesterol Myth, right? I think everybody should read it. So again, I don't, but when you look at the levels, and I tell them, look at the levels, look at your triglycerides, look at your LDL, look at your, fasting insulin, and then gonna go from there. So, but I joke with them. I kind of give my friends a scare, like, "Oh my God, you're gonna die of a heart attack." Well, not really. I'm feeling great. I don't think so. Not walking around going, "Oh God, I'm gonna have a heart attack." Elizabeth, I'm coming to you. I'm coming, you know. Uh,
My
yeah.
my trainer's been very skeptical about me being on carnivore, but he's happy that my strength is going up each week, so
Yeah.
he's happy that
Yeah.
I sort of, oh, haven't gotten scurvy yet. I'm still alive. I'm still doing okay.
Yeah, and
Um,
I don't know anybody on carnivore that's ever gotten scurvy, ever. I mean, and we've got carnivores, friends of mine. I mean, heck, they've been carnivores for 15, 16 years. Never got carnivore, scurvy. So, and to me, when I came into it, I really didn't even I'm just kind of a person that sometimes I'm just willing to take the risk. I really didn't dive into like the scientific part of it. I just was kind of dove in because I had kind of seen all these people doing it and they looked like they were doing well and looking good. And I had one guy, it's funny, a friend of mine, he messaged me. This was after we got back from Hack Your Health. And, I had posted a bunch of photos, from the event and so forth. And he goes, Gosh, Mel, he goes, all your friends are skinny. He didn't say skinny. He said lean. I said, well, yeah. I go, but most of it's because we're all carnivores, And he goes, well, I think I'm going to try it. And so I don't know if he ever did or not, but that's the kind of thing that people recognize. And I'm here again to say it's not all about the weight. It's not all about the weight training, but it is an important side of it because especially for women, that's what we kind of worry about the most is our weight and stuff. But if you've got a lot of to heal inside, that's most important. And I think in the long run, no matter what happens with the scale, no matter what happens with your clothes and stuff like that, that on the inside, you're making your body much more resistant to any type of illness or disease.
yeah, absolutely. Melanie, could you talk us through your menu and what your kind of full day of eating looks like?
Wow. Okay. Let's see. So today, all I've had today was my about a pound of ground hamburger with three over easy eggs, which is typical. And then I usually have an iced coffee with heavy cream. After that, just a cold brew, like just by itself. Um, and then tonight, like I said, I'll have tri-tip. I don't know if I'll have eggs with it or not, depending on how I feel, in a few hours. Um, but typically it's beef, bacon, butter, eggs. I mean, and sometimes I'll eat before I go to the gym. It just depends on how well I fueled the day before. If I didn't eat enough the day before, then I'll probably eat a small meal before I go to the gym. I can cook up some bacon eggs. Sometimes I'll just in a hurry and I'll just fry up three eggs and eat that and head off to the gym. And I'm out the door. And then I come home and I'm usually a New York and eggs or ribeye and eggs every single day. That's pretty much what I stick to. Hamburger in between there because I get bored. I've made carnivore bread. I've made, I do kind of I don't do chicken too much because I find it to be kind of inflammatory. So if I'm craving it now and then, I will. But for the most part, I don't really do much chicken or pork except for the bacon. So it's whatever steak I can have, and I shop the sales. So it may just be that I pick up a T-bone on the way home, and because I didn't take anything out of the freezer to defrost, and then I'll have that. So usually it's that and eggs, just about every single day, almost every meal. I know that sounds kind of boring, but to me it's easy. It tastes good, and by the time I'm ready to sit down and eat, I wouldn't say starving, but I'm pretty hungry. So, oh, and I like ribs too. I don't cook them too much. I'll usually have a friend of mine make those for me, but I just, like I said, try to keep it simple as possible. And like I'll do a hamburger patties and maybe a little bit of cottage cheese. Um, I'll do clams. I do fish. Like I'll take some chopped clams and mix it just in a little bit of sour cream and put a little bit of salt and pepper on that and make it kind of dip. And then I eat it with pork rinds. So I do eat pork rinds and a lot pork rinds and butter when I feel like I need a little snack or something. And I also used the pork rinds and butter thing when I first started SPG because it got rid of my sugar cravings. It was kind of like I wanted something, but I just couldn't, I just didn't want to cheat. And so I would get the bag of pork rinds and I would dip it in soft butter and kind of have that like a little snack. But that's pretty much what I do. I just like I said, I keep it simple. boring, as most people might say, but to me, it works. And I don't have to worry about it too much. I take things out the night before or set the meat out before I go to the gym. By the time I get back, it's usually pretty defrosted by then, or I put it in some water. And then by the time I get home, it's good to cook up on the grill. And I cook everything pretty much part on the grill, even during the winter time here, because I can cook on the grill a steak of, like 1.5 to 2 minutes each side, and it's perfect. And so it's pretty fast. So when you're hungry and you're like, oh my God, I'm starving, famished from the gym, it's easy to whip up pretty fast.
That's awesome. It sounds like you're in a really good place and you're really, locked into what your body's saying. It's like, some days it's 2 meals, maybe it's 3 meals or it's a snack, but it sounds like you're in a really good place.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's taken a little while, and trust me, I still have my moments where I was kind of doing these bars for a while that are in the carnivore community, and I had to give those up because they were making me gain weight, and they had honey in them, and I was finding that the honey was kind of bothering me. I do have them once in a great while because I have them at my house, but so I my body is, it tells me what's happening, right? I think back in I'm trying to remember what happened right before 4th of July. We were getting ready to go to our steak and butter gang first meetup in Montana, and I had gotten plantar fasciitis really bad, to the point where I didn't think I was going to be able to go to the doctor, and he gave me a brace to put my leg in. I swear I had that thing on 24/7. But I think that it was the honey that I was eating, because that was the only thing that I had really changed. Um, from carnivore, and all of a sudden I started having, and I was eating them more than I should. It wasn't like just a bar a day. I was eating probably two or three, and that just was not good. So I think it really bothered me, and it just, but once I stopped that, my hunger signals opened up, which was good because it was also making my hunger signals go away, which was keeping me from eating like I should. And then I had this plantar fasciitis, and then finally, I gave those up. And our good friend Alyssa, who's a coach in our gang, said, "Well, Mel," she goes, "it might be those bars, and you might you might want to try giving those up." And she was right. So I did give those up, and but again, my body was really in tune to what food was making, what problems it was having for my body. Where in the past, I don't think that we would have ever, or I would have ever really realized that any particular food gave me a problem, right? Unless it was alcohol and you feel like, anyways, right? But other than that, I mean, I don't recall really eating foods unless it was a really high carb day. And back when I was in college, we did carb loading. I mean, that was the thing back in my college days. It was like, and I think, oh my gosh, wow. I mean, where we've come, and how thick and puffy I was kind of back then. So yeah, so I pretty much know that my body, what it likes, what it doesn't like, what I can get away with. And don't get me wrong, I mean, and like I said, I do cheat now and then, but it's because I like it. It's not because I'm addicted or like, oh my God, I have to have this, and it's going to take me down some rabbit hole. I just like it. So, and I don't think it's anything that I'm eating that's going to do any tremendous damage to what I've accomplished already.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, no one's perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. You still have these days you feel a bit like you crave something, and it's about, looking at the bigger picture, looking at the overall, your overall health. And that's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna go and have a candy bar. I mean, it's not gonna be that kinda cheat. I'm not gonna go have pizza. I'm not gonna go have pasta. I'm not gonna have any of that stuff. That I mean, it's gonna be the simpler things, like I said, maybe the berries, or maybe a little bit of rice or something like that. But, and we're talking like, little tiny, bit. We're not talking a bowl or anything like that. And so, but again, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me in any way. And I feel like if I did have those berries, whatever exercise I did do, it kind of burns it right off. And so it's not necessarily an issue for me. But I definitely believe that carnivore is one of the probably the best way for us to be eating. Um, and I just know for myself, if I was to go back the other way, boy, what a disaster that would be. And I think people don't realize how bad they really feel until they do something like this, an elimination diet that helps them understand how bad they really felt, right? And I know that was for me too. I didn't realize how bad I really felt until I got to carnivore and realized how good I could feel.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a time where, my old way of eating was very high carbohydrate heavy and like, you have pre-workout meal, workout meal, and you have protein drink, and it's like
Yeah.
just constant eating and constantly preparing food. And it's like no wonder I couldn't get anything done. It's like it's not
Yeah.
a miss.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, isn't it great to not have to worry about preparing your food all the time, way ahead of time? I mean, it's kinda like 1 or 2 meals and you're good to go? And I know for a fact, like, I can't do anything with whey protein in it. It just now I can do the grass-fed, protein, that's out there, like, from Equipped or some other, companies, but boy, whey really does, and it really has been for a long time with women anyways, and I know that even back in my earlier years of training, they didn't recommend whey for women anyways. And so I just know that when I do something with whey in it, it's not the best for me. I don't feel the greatest. And
Definitely.
I don't do any protein shakes per se. I remember, like you said, back in the day, it was about protein shakes, right? And drinking our protein. And we really teach in our community that we try to stay away from not drinking. We want to have whole foods as our intake and not drinking our protein. And I think back, man, what kind of damage did I really do to my body drinking all those protein shakes back then? So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, damage to your wallet as well because that can be very expensive.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, and all the supplements. I mean, I don't really do hardly any supplements, but yeah, I think about all that stuff about creatine, that's about it. So, um, but yeah, just, it it's really refreshing to see so many new carnivores, and having been a part of and joining the worldwide carnivore little group that we have there on Instagram. Um, I think you kind of realize that there's a lot more people out there that are carnivores than you realize, because when you get into one of those groups and you start talking to people and you don't realize, like, oh, yeah, I know that person, or I met that person, or they were at this event or that event, and we're all kind of intertwined. And I think that's what's really important about this is the community that it provides, because so many of us are kind of outcasts, because nobody really understands what we do and why we do it and how could this be. And so I think Bella did a survey one day on our one of our member groups meetings, and she asked everybody in the group to put in the chat, how many of you know a carnivore that lives in your same hometown? Nobody. I mean, there's a huge group, right? But and I'm the same way. I mean, there might be some carnivores here, but I don't really know who they are. So again, I think we kind of are in that um, position where we have some challenges as it comes to that, but then yet we use our community to really stay um, for our support and to be around like-minded people.
Absolutely. And if people want to reach out to you, Melanie, what's the best social media to get hold of you?
Well, I'm on Instagram at ATAGRL_13. So it's at a girl 13, but it's spelled differently. You can reach me on Facebook also, Melanie Spiegelmeyer. And then also I'm on X at MSPEEG66. And then I'm also on, of course, I think I already said Instagram. So Instagram, Facebook, and X.
Awesome. I'll leave a link to your social media in the description so people can reach out to you that way.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds great. I'd love that. And
Awesome.
anybody that wants to come to join the Steak and Butter Gang, feel free to do that. You can look up Bella Steak and Butter Gal online. She's got a link there for to join the gang. We'd love to have you guys. I think it's the one of the best or the best community that we have out there. Of course, I am a little biased, but yeah, we just love to share the message and to help people get healthy and stay healthy.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Melanie. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Todd, and it's so great to meet you. And thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
You too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.